Hey, welcome back. What do you think of the camera? Brand new camera right now. Hopefully it looks a lot clearer for everybody. So after you're done watching the video, please be sure to comment down below and let me know if this video looks a lot clearer for you. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we're working back on the 52 Chevy. This time we're working on the battery trays underneath the driver's side of the truck. We're gonna finish boxing in the driver's side frame, and then using angle iron, we're gonna make a long battery tray that's gonna hold 2 batteries in the truck. I'm gonna use 2 batteries because I have air compressors, I'm gonna have a stereo system in the truck, air conditioning running. I need to make sure I've got enough power to power everything that I wanna run in the truck, so I figured 2 batteries, it definitely won't hurt. So we're gonna make the battery tray nice and long and wide to actually have the 2 batteries up underneath the driver's side of the truck. So we're gonna work on that on the welding table, making the battery tray. We're gonna go underneath the truck to finish boxing the frame in. So let's get to it. So to actually create this, I drew it out on a piece of paper right here. It's gonna be 6 5/8 inches wide, and each battery I need about 10 1/4 inches width for the battery. I'm gonna leave a little bit of space in between the batteries, so we figure 20 1/2 inches, so I'll probably make this 22 inches wide, just to give us enough room. We'll put little spacers in here just to hold the battery side to side in there. So we're gonna use the bandsaw to actually cut out some of this angle iron here. We're using 2-inch angle iron for the battery tray we're gonna create. We're gonna cut them in these shapes, like with 45s in the corners, weld it all together. This front lip running around here, this side here will be welded up against the frame. This front lip here, I'm actually gonna cut shorter than this right here, because I don't wanna have to get the battery over a 2-inch lip to get it down in the tray. It's way too excessive. I'm only using this stuff because we have it available right now. So we'll probably cut it down to about 1/2 inch just to give it a lip. We'll put hold downs in eventually to keep this thing from bouncing out. So we're gonna mark this metal where we need to cut it, and we're gonna take it into the bandsaw and get it cut. So 10 1/4, 10 1/4, that's 20 1/2 inches. If I make it 22 inches wide, that'll give us a little bit of space in the inside. So we'll do that 22 1/2 inches wide for each of these pieces. So we're gonna mark that. And I need 6 5/8 on these. So let's head over to the bandsaw. So I need to set this to 45 degrees right here. To do that, I just need 2 wrenches. There we go. Pretty close, just like that. So they look like. So now that we have these cut, we're gonna go back to the welding table, get them mocked up. We're gonna have to cut the lip off of one of these so it's easier to get the batteries in and out. So we're gonna head back to the welding table right now. All right, so now that we've got all 4 sides cut for the battery box, we're gonna kind of piece them together right here so you can see what we're kind of going for. I'll use my bolts for a square surface to work off of right here. We'll push right up against that. I know this is square because these holes are perfectly square with the other holes, and by putting these bolts in, it acts as stops. So I know if I push this way and push this way, where these two meet, perfectly square joint right here. So that looks like our battery tray right there. Just about 6 3/4 inch. I was shooting for 6 5/8. 6 3/4 is perfect. Width about 21 3/4, perfect. So now I want to actually take the lip off of the front side down to about 1/2 inch. So I need to figure out how we're going to cut that. I'm guessing I'm probably going to clamp it in place here, kind of like this and just use cutoff wheel, shooting straight across here the best I can to get that off. So we're gonna work on that now. So right now, this is the front lip that's gonna be for the battery tray. And I don't want it to be 1.5 inches tall right here. So I'm gonna cut this down to about 3/4 of an inch. That's all I really want it to be tall, just enough to keep the battery from sliding out. Use the cutoff wheel on the grinder, cut this lip off of here. Then we're gonna clean everything up with the flap wheel and get everything welded together. That should hold it pretty good in place while I cut up to here. Then we'll switch the clamp over to the back side to finish cutting that lip off. Always wear your eye protection. Got enough metal in my eye to last me a while. I'm just gonna cut right along this line here. I'm gonna start up here and then slowly come back so I'll be able to see the line because the sparks are gonna be shooting that way. So we've got the lip of this cut off now, so it's a lot shorter. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to clean everything up with the flap wheel and get this tray completely welded together. Alrighty, so these are all cleaned up now. So I'm going to clean off the welding table a little bit and get ready for welding. Alright, so we have the table all cleaned off. We're gonna mock up. This one's the front. And then we got two sides, which are pretty much identical. So we're gonna work on one edge, making sure we've got a nice 90 degree with that. So now it's flush there. It's flush here. Nice 90 degree corner right here. So I'm gonna throw a tack on the inside here, a tack on the corner, just to keep it positioned. Let's get the welder out. The nice thing about a welding table, you can just clamp right to the table to ground your part out. So we're going to throw a tack to get this edge together. Batteries are going to slide up into here like this. Let's get it tacked together. Battery tray looks like just like this. This is the side that the batteries are going to come into, so it's a lot lower of a lip to get over. We don't want to have to bring all the batteries all the way up as high as we can, because once they're sitting in here and they're clamped down in place, we'll probably put like a couple little tabs here that these hooks will come down into to clamp the battery down in. But right now this side here is going to get welded to the frame rail on the inside of the underneath the driver's side cab. That's what this is going to sit. Then a battery will be here, then a battery will be here. Two batteries side by side. And those will be the batteries in the truck. So right now I'm going to work on finish welding this all into place. It's pretty much welded up. Hot like a tamale. Is all welded together right now. We'll put a support on the end here, like a 45 support from the front up to the frame rail here, just to keep it from flopping down like this. But this is all going to get welded right to the edge of the frame rail. So I don't really think it's going to go anywhere. Nice and flat. Two batteries in there. The batteries are going to weigh a lot, which is why I want this to be heavy duty. So let's just clean up these a little bit. Should go pretty quick. Alright, so check this out. The battery tray is 100% complete on the welding table right now. So the next thing we need to do is we need to get under the truck and finish boxing the frame in. This backside right here is going to go up against the actual frame of the truck. That's the front of the truck. That's the back of the truck over there. This is gonna weld right to the actual frame. We'll put a support in from here up to the frame there. It's kind of like a little gusset to kind of hold the tray from breaking off. One battery's gonna sit right here. The other battery's gonna sit right here. We'll have clamps on them so they actually clamp down in place. This is nice and sturdy. We lowered the lip in the front here to actually get, so you don't have to lift the battery up and over such a big lip. Not necessary. This came out really good. That's what the back side looks like. Nice and smoothed out. So next up, let's get back under the truck and finish boxing in the frame. All right, so we're up underneath the truck right now. This is the driver's side frame rail right here. And what we want to do is we want to box this section in right here, and then the battery tray is going to weld in right around this location. We've got all this room up here for height for the battery. So we're going to work on boxing this in right now. So we're probably going to use some cardboard templates to cut this rectangle out here, get that welded in. Then we'll do this little section back here separately, and then this little section in here separately, just to get it all boxed in all the way along the driver's side frame rail here underneath the cab. You can see the cab's up here. Back there is where we just put the air compressors in the air tank. This section back here we've already boxed in, so we're basically just going to continue the exact same method we did here, down here. And then once this section is complete here, the entire driver's side frame rail will be completely boxed in, giving just a little bit more durability to the actual frame. So we're going to work on this right now. So we're going to break out some cardboard, cut out some cardboard templates, transfer that over to 11 gauge steel, and get that cut out and welded in. I took a piece of cardboard. This is actually from a Fruit Loops box. So just the cardboard from the Fruit Loops box. Comment down below and let me know what your favorite cereal is. I don't know, why not? So I take the cardboard from the Fruit Loops box, and I'm just going to use this as a template, because I know the frame is about 5.5 inches wide. The 11 gauge piece of steel I have is 5.5 inches wide. So this is going to go in here kind of like this. So I need to figure out this section right here is what I'm worried about right here. So this is what I'm going to worry about right now. This actually, will that actually slide all the way over? Actually it will. So we need to figure out from here, from this point right here, to where down here do we want this to go. So let's look at that right now before it starts really getting at a funky angle. Probably be right around here. So right around there, I'm going to mark where it's going to stop. I'm going to have to custom make a piece that goes in right here. But for now, I know from this point here to this point here is how long the piece will be. So we're looking at about 20.25 inches. We're going to cut the 5.5 inch piece of 11 gauge steel at 20.25 inches right now. We'll bring it back in here and see how it's going to fit up. So we're going to do that right now over on the welding table. All right, so here's the piece of 11 gauge steel right here. I'm going to measure out 20.25 inches and cut it straight down here. That's the piece we just mocked up with the piece of cardboard underneath the truck. So we're going to cut that out on the piece of 11 gauge steel right now, get it back underneath the truck and see how it looks. So we're going to measure it, mark it, cut it with a jigsaw, get it under the truck right now. All right, so let's take this back underneath the truck right now and see how it fits. All right, we've got our piece here that we just cut out and cleaned up. That's gonna slide in right about here. Let's get a rough idea of where how much we need to take off of this. We're gonna put it in just like this, marking the back side, so we know where we need to take this off. I'm gonna draw a straight line across here, and we're gonna cut it at that line right along here. I'm gonna cut this right now, and I'll be right back again. All right, we're back. So I just trimmed this all up. I cut off about 1/4 inch from the top of this. We'll see how this is gonna fit in here now. Oh yeah, that's pretty good. This goes in a little farther than I was hoping for it to actually go in. Need to clean the frame up on the edges here and start tacking this into place. So right now, I'm gonna take this down. We're gonna clean up the frame here and here, because that's where we need to weld onto, and the metal's kind of dirty. So we're gonna grab the flap wheel and do that right now. Clamp this on back there for now. This in your way. Clamp it back here. It'll work. So everything's pretty much cleaned up with the flap wheel. Now we're ready to actually tack this piece into place. Continue tacking it down here and here. Hammer this side in a little bit, and that'll be all tacked in, and we can finish weld it in real quick. Battery tray will hook into here. Keep going. Let's keep going. All right, so now that I've got the truck up in the air, I can get a clamp on here to suck this side in, to throw a tack on. make it nice and sturdy. I pounded this side in so we could actually throw a bead all the way along there. That's all nice and done. We could probably throw a little bead up here even too. A lot of this can get finished off later though. Just want to get the battery tray on in this video. So I've got the entire bottom fully welded in right now. Now I just have to do the top, which will be a little harder because I'm closer to there, but we can always finish weld that later, which we probably will end up doing. Might throw a couple more tacks on it. We can finish weld that once we get the body off. There we go. All right, so right here is what we're working on right now, this empty hole we have going on right here. So we need to figure out, we have a 5.5 inch piece here. What can we actually do with 5.5 inches? Can I go sideways? Actually, that might be what we're doing. 5.5 inch piece might fit perfectly this way, and then we'll just make a little wedge to fit in there and we'll weld that in place. So what we'll do, you can kind of see that it swoops down here, and here's the swoopiness on the bottom. So this will be up like that. Let's grab the scissors. Show you what I'm doing here. So here's the bottom swooping right here. I'm gonna cut that out like that. So that's gonna go in here just like this. So I think that's about what we're shooting for here. Some minor adjustments of the old cardboard. Again, cardboard's so much easier to work with than miscutting the metal. So go in there like this. That is perfect, just like that. We'll end up cutting the corner off there. Nick that corner off now. Probably nick these two corners off. So this should be our finished template here. Should go just like that. That is absolutely perfect. Then we'll just worry about this little triangular piece at the end. So let's get this transferred over to metal right now. All right, so we got this piece all cut out and it goes in here like this. Fits absolutely perfect. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna probably put it right around there. That's good, all the way down there. So we'll tack it in right here, get it tacked into place. Maybe have to throw a clamp on it down here to flatten that out. So let's tack that in right there. So now we just have to worry about this little triangle section. We'll do that right now. So right now the last thing we need to worry about is this little triangular section right here. So we're basically just gonna take our cardboard and just make another template. All right, so I cut a triangle wedge out right here. This was a piece of metal. It'd be going in here just like this. I think that's gonna be absolutely perfect right there. That's what it's gonna look like in there. So let's replicate this onto a piece of metal and get it over here. All right, so I just cut this piece out right here. This is gonna go in right here like this. So I'm gonna use the magnet to hold it in place. Actually, that worked out perfect, just like that. And then I can fully weld this in. So we're gonna get this tacked into place right now, get the magnet off of there and finish weld it in. So we have this entire frame completely boxed in now, nice and neat. I'm not sure if we're gonna do anything with this section right here yet. I might leave that hole there, might make it look a little nicer anyway. We could finish that off when the body's off. But right now, we're just gonna actually grind down all of our welds right here, all along the bottom, or on this triangular piece here. We're gonna grind those welds down. So when we do put the battery tray on here, right here, that won't be in the way. All the grinds will be already cleaned up. Probably put a 1x1 on here to bump the battery tray out a little bit. So we'll probably put a 1x1 on there for a spacer. That way we can still put stuff, run brake lines back here behind the batteries, maybe run the air line if we have to. So we're doing pretty good shape. That came out really good. So right now we're gonna work on just cleaning up all these welds and smoothing them all out along the bottom here, up there, around here, getting it ready for the actual battery tray. All right, so check this out. We actually have this thing all welded in place, all smoothed out. So now we can actually move on to actually getting the battery tray mounted up underneath here. Get my piece of cardboard, we'll test something out here. So we're working on this section right in here. I'm just gonna try to make a piece that goes here, down and over and right up the seam here. Doesn't have to be absolutely perfect, just something to fill that hole in so it looks a little more completed. The rest of this actually came out beautiful. thinking something like this, just like that. Butt it right up to this, there, weld along there. It will look perfect because this is already at a slant here. So that's actually coming out really good. Might just grind that down a little bit right there. Pop this in. We're gonna replicate this right here over on metal. I'll be right back. So we're gonna try to weld this piece in here. We might have to bang it into submission a little bit. We'll see how that goes. Now the last thing we have to do is just weld up along the top here, and the frame will be 100% boxed in on the driver's side. We'll do the passenger side once we get everything off the frame. It'll be a lot easier. I've got a part of the frame on this side I have to fix a little bit because it's bent up. This side's coming out really good. So that's all welded in. Now we're going to grind it down with the grinder real quick, and we'll be done boxing in the frame. So the frame is 100% completely boxed in right now on the driver's side. We needed to get this squared away so we could actually get the battery tray mounted on right here. So we're gonna work on figuring out how to mount the battery right in here right now. All right, so I've got the battery tray right here. This battery tray is gonna mount right around this location here. I'm just gonna have it foul the bottom of the frame, possibly up a little bit. But it's gonna be out about an inch from the frame, just like this. So I need the 1-inch 1x1 spacer we're gonna put in. It's gonna get welded to the back side of this battery tray, right to about this location right here, because it isn't even here, and that will bump it out over the unevenness. So that'll be perfectly fine. We're gonna get the spacer situated right now back at the welding table. We're gonna get that welded onto here. Once it's welded onto here, then we'll mock it back up over here and get it welded right to the side of the frame. Back to the welding table. Alrighty, so I know I need to cut a 1x1, 18 inches long. So that's the first thing we need to do is cut a 1x1, 18 inches long. That's actually gonna weld onto the back side of this actual tray here. This bumps it out about an inch from the actual frame rail, so we can still run power lines back here, brake lines, air lines, whatever we need to run behind the batteries, we'll have enough room to run. Plus we'll have room to have the tie downs come down and hook into tabs on the frame and on the front side here, which we'll weld on at a later time. I'm gonna measure 18 inches on the 1x1 and get that cut out on the bandsaw real quick. So I got that end all cleaned up right now, all boxed in, nice and purty. Now we're gonna do this end. So we got both ends of this all cleaned up now. So now I just need to clean up all 4 edges and get that ready for welding. All 4 edges have been cleaned up now for welding. So now what we need to do is make sure this is cleaned up for welding, which it already is. So this is gonna go in here like this. Just using this to have something flat to bump up against. Both of those are gonna go up there like this. So I've got top side welded, the bottom side fully welded. Now I just have to weld down both sides, and then we'll smooth everything out with the flap wheel. So there we go. We've got the spacer welded on the back side here, fully boxed in, fully cleaned up. Now this should be ready to weld in place on the underside of the truck, so let's head under there. I'm gonna mark a 1/4 inch up all the way down here. That's where the bottom will be for the actual battery tray. Now this is pretty much secure. I still need to put some gussets in here to hold it in place. That should be relatively easily done. So I'm just gonna throw a couple more tacks into place down here because I'm running out of MIG wire. We're gonna finish weld everything once we tear everything apart, so there's no point of really laying it down now. I'll end up probably flipping the frame over to get a good weld in. So we're just gonna throw a couple more tacks in here to hold it in place good, and then we will work on the side supports and hopefully have enough wire to make that. It's all tacked in. Now we're gonna work on the actual gussets. So I've got this piece right here. It's gonna get welded on right here. So I'm gonna see if this is actually gonna fit on the other side. If it fits on the other side, then I'll just replicate 2 of these. So it's pretty much the exact same thing, but it's gotta be about a 1/4 inch shorter. So I'm gonna replicate this right now. So I've replicated the back bracket that we just made right here, made another one for up here, but about a 1/4 inch shorter. So it should fit perfectly right there. So this will get welded in right here. So the last thing we need to worry about is the one down the center here. And I'm thinking about doing this out of 1x1. I'm gonna take some measurements right now. So I have this piece right here I cut. It's a 1x1. It's gonna go down the center there. So I'm mocking it up on the edge here, about where I actually want it. So I've got to cut it right there. All right, so I've got this piece cut like this. It's a little different on both sides. And I'm hoping this will fit into here like this, just like that. That actually fits perfect. So I need to mark down the back side. Let me get the 2 side pieces welded on right now. We're gonna tack those in place, and then we'll mark the center down the back once these side pieces are in place to position this center one correctly. You get a clamp and get the welder going. So I'm gonna weld the back support on first. I'm gonna clamp it in place right here. Now we're gonna do the same thing on the other side. So now we're gonna take some measurements and figure out the center for this piece. I know here is the center right here. We just need to make sure it's squared up in the back and centered. We'll be in really good shape. Battery, battery, boom. Got that marked. That's centered there. That's centered there. Now we're gonna tack this in place just like that. Boom. Once this is fully welded in place, it's not going anywhere. Alright everyone, that's going to be a wrap for this video. As you can see, we got the driver's side frame rail 100% completely boxed in. That is extra sturdy right now. Once we tear the truck apart, we'll finish the passenger side frame rail. But for right now, we needed to get that driver's side frame rail completely done, so we had a place to put the battery trays underneath the truck. We completely fabricated a dual battery tray and welded it in place with brackets underneath the driver's side of the cab. So as you can see, everything is 100% complete for the mock-up. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Smash that notification icon down below so you know when I do post future videos, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.